This is a very dangerous point. The point of how the devil, based on his satanic agenda, manipulating the world. And it's not a matter of the deceiving right now. Now, there is always a problem between atheism and religion. Okay? I have talked about it and I don't want to talk a lot. Between atheism and those who are smarter than me with more knowledge will understand exactly what I'm trying to say. And I always say the truth, especially in such certain points. There is a problem between atheism and religion, contradiction, always. Now, allowing what's happening in Palestine and the city called Jerusalem to happen, this is a weakness. This is going to create a weakness to atheism, and the result of this shall show itself in the future. Through this network of reason, hidden network of reason, it will show itself. The reactions here and there. Even among the so-called Christian world, which atheism have emerged mainly through the history to fight the church and to fight the castles and the castles of the monarchs, which take its power from the church to rule. This is history. Now the case is allowing these dark groups, or the main dark groups behind this group, which is an invading and oppression and illegitimate on it, to make Jerusalem as this group, like the so-called Zionists or the West, within the West, to make, or those who call themselves, to make the city called Jerusalem a Jewish capital. When you do this, you return back to Fatah movement, you return back to Palestine, you return back to Sykes-Picot, you return back to the fall of the Islamic Uthmanic Khilafah, and you see the conflict, a capital for Palestine or a capital for those who call themselves Jews. Of course, those who call themselves Jews are Goys. They are not Israelites. They don't belong to the Middle East. They are not natives there. They came for a certain satanic agenda or an agenda by an invader. Now, atheism become powerful within the centuries as a solution with the terms of communism and secularism and democracy and things like that. By this, you are تدقون أسفين أو you are destroying right now. You are making weakness to atheism. Of course, they will say that it's still atheist, it's still a secular country, it's still don't divide. This is a joke. It shouldn't be called a Jewish city. And this will bring a punishment even to those who call themselves atheists, because هذا ضرب المعايير. هذا المعايير المختلين فيها. You're here. If you accept this, if you do not revolt against this, you are betraying the history of atheism, which you believe that it's your belief. For me, 100%, I believe that Jerusalem must and should, and this is the legal way, an Islamic city. And Islam have nothing to do with terror, which is reaction. But atheism have been used by the devil to do the change in Middle East. I mean, look at Hensel. Hensel did not raise his voice in Europe except through secularism, through atheism, saying that this is for Jewish people, and they convinced the other that they are a Jewish race, like the Flasha African, the Ashkenazis, or others in Copenhagen or in England or in Russia or those in Iran, though they got nothing to do with the Israeli race. And Judea is not a race. Judea is a faith, Yahudian. Either you are an Israeli or a Goy. You can be a Jew for a certain period of time when the Israelites were favored to preach. There is a lot of things that the non-Israeli Goys, like Mr. Netanyahu, the Prime Minister of the so-called Israeli state, gonna lie, or his chachams who have nothing to do with the Israeli race, will unfortunately lie about it. Now the case is why you are neglecting the solution of the two states. See, I even since 2016 and 17, I have uploaded too many videos calling for it, because I know that there will be a now, excuse me. No, I return back to the point. I forget what I was saying. I closed and now I open again. I'm just saying that the solution of two states, you are neglecting it, and you are making the city called Jerusalem Al-Qudus. You are making it. Now I'm talking from the point of view of an atheist. Neglecting the two-state solution, and you're saying, fine, make this city a Jewish capital. Now this is gonna make atheism weak, and it's gonna empower the other dark groups. Trust me, either you like it or not. Now we are living 2020. This is what I'm trying to say, that in tribulation, the institutes of dark group, calling itself Christianity or Judea or Shiism or Hinduism or Buddhism, calling itself the so-called, another worse, terrible virgin of darkness shall emerge. It will emerge. There will be something far worse will emerge through the time. We're talking about future, and I have explained about this. The so-called Christianity right now is not like the so-called Christianity before centuries. It is better in certain levels, and it's bad in certain levels. But this is how you can understand the devil. The devil is hiding this group, even the so-called Hinduism and the so-called Buddhism. Mainly the so-called Christianity, because it's in Europe. It was a very favored place to make the reformation of darkness. I don't want to go there. Yeah, all over the world. The devil right now will, this is not apparently, finally will make atheism weak, and he will put support to the other dark groups, the so-called Christianity, so-called Shiism, so-called Hinduism, so-called Buddhism. And Europe, after 5 centuries, is not going to be Europe now. People would say, gotta be a different Muslim country. This is because you don't understand what happened in Andalusia, and you don't understand what happened in the First Crusade. You think that Islam is a problem. Even with this filthy result like Daesh, Islam is much, which is bad. There is bad things happened. You create it. It's better than what the history can tell us about certain period of the so-called Hinduism, the so-called Buddhism, and the so-called Christianity in Europe. Now, I'm not defending what you create as a reaction, this so-called the Daesh thing. The so-called Shiism as well. There's certain periods, certain things. I'm not going to go involved with myself there. Now, I have talked to someone who's calling himself a Christian, and I said to him, what about the two-state solution? And did you know what he said to me? I mean, please don't be stupid like this person. He said to me, I talked to many, not one, a so-called Christian. I said, what do you think about the two-state solution? Do you know what he said? He said the Palestinians will never accept this. There is something called King Abdullah Mubadara, 1967. There is something about Yasser Arafat, Fatah, making the Eastern Jerusalem as a capital. And he's saying to me, the Palestinian and the Muslim will never accept this. Okay, if they are not going to accept this, while the West is so powerful to impose things, why you are accepting Jerusalem to this city called, there is a big question mark about the name Jerusalem, but why you accept making Jerusalem as a capital of those who call themselves Jews? This is a contradiction of the devil. But people will insist, they do insist, but they will insisting. That's why they belong to hellfire. Now the case is, and I am serious about it. Now they insist on themselves to be in hellfire. Regardless, if you're an atheist, let's focus here. Now, there shouldn't be so-called Goy Jews coming from Europe, settlers in Palestine, which is not like America or Australia and New Zealand. It is already a civilization. We are talking about something like London, something like Istanbul, something like Rome, something like Moscow. There is already a civilization. It's towns and city, the city of Al-Qudus, and it's surrounded by a civilization. Damascus, we're not talking about spread lands without anything in it. No, we're talking about ancient place that the Muslim did great there. The Muslim who among them real native Israelis, real native Afghans, real native Ashurians, real native Assyrians, real and even Byzantines and others or Romans who came from outside and settled, real native Skiptis, real native Ishmaelian belong to the Middle East. Now, I return back to the topic. This is هذه خيانة الملحدين لما يؤمنون به. This is the atheist people patrician, not patrician, the atheist betraying, you're a betrayer. Betraying means betraying what they believe in. You're an atheist, you should fight for atheism. If you're serious, you defend it, even if you have a problem with Islam. This way you protect it. You have a problem with Islam. Though they are the natives there. Fine, you have a problem, then you fight with secularism. You fight with atheism. You say no. Jerusalem should not, the city called Jerusalem should not be a capital of those Jews. It's an atheist. We have helped you since Henzl. Return to the history. This should be two-state. The eastern for the Palestinians, they should have their own leader, and the western Jerusalem should be 50-50. 1967 borders. This is atheism. We defend atheism. But see, there will be punishment on you because you are not only, this is a word called nifaq. You are not normal nifaq. You are extreme nifaqist. This is a crime what's happening in Jerusalem. On the level of Islam, which is submission to God Almighty. I'm not talking about Muhammad. Muhammad is just the final messenger of this. Based on the instruction of God, the word of God, what the Messiah, son of Virgin Mary, peace be upon him, the messenger, the Messiah, came and announced, based on the instruction of Allah. It is against the real Israelis' issue or case on planet Earth. It is against what Yahweh, the word Yahweh, stand for through the age, through the divine plan. It is against atheism. So it's crime. It is the same. I can go to Iran and talk about the so-called Shiite. I can talk about the Ishmaelian people, right? I can go there and there. I can talk about the Sinjanin. I can talk about things in China and things in India. But now let's focus on Jerusalem. How could you accept this? The whole atheist world should not accept this. The whole world of atheism should say, leave the case of this reaction terrorist. Leave the case of our problem with Islam as the most powerful religion on planet Earth. The other is a joke. Where is the Yehudit? They are a joke. I'm sorry to say this. Those Yehudit. No, this is fact, but so that you don't. Those who call themselves Shiite. What type of? What is the religion you're calling for? Leave the Hinduism with Buddhism. I mean, look at secularism. Look at they don't call the Shia. They don't call. I don't want to talk about the so-called Shiite and talk about Khilafah and things. I'm talking about the real issue is from those Muslim Sunnis because they are complying within them as a number, more complying attitude to what they relate themselves to. But among those who call themselves Christian, they are not complying like the Muslims to what they are relating themselves to. They will try to convince you they are not. Look at medieval times and you'll understand. To what they relate themselves to, when they relate themselves to something have nothing to do with the Messiah, got nothing to do with Christianity. You can call them Nasara. The so-called Hindus, the so-called Buddhists as well. They relate themselves to something that they just neglected. So, you have a problem with Islam? This shouldn't turn you on away from your main fight, which is fighting for atheism, to be a power forever on planet Earth, which I am personally against. I'm a Muslim, and I'm explaining to you Islam, and I'm not a caller for death. Islam call for life. You need to understand this. But, this is something important. I say it before Allah. This is not a matter about execution and prosecuting the gay and women rights. No, this is a matter of my personal case and what I have faced. But I'm dealing with someone, if he's calling himself a human being, a human who called for atheism. I understand. How could you neglect this point? You have a problem with Islam? This shouldn't turn you away from the fact that this reason, you hating Islam, is not acceptable reason to neglect the main issue, which is the importance of atheism. So you're destroying atheism and you're empowering something called Judea. مسخ حتى it's not normal مغضوب عليهم, it's something worse. And you call yourself atheist. Do you know there will be a sequences? So this is a very deep issue. This is a deep issue. This is in your conscience. It's not a matter of conscience. So many people, it's the future of this world. See, I'm talking about the agenda of the devil, but it's not easy for me, not easy for others to understand, not for me. I understand it. Maybe not easy for me to explain it because I see it, but I am not an engineer to explain all details of what, but no. I think if you're smarter than me, more knowledge, you understand exactly what I'm trying to say, and I'm saying the truth. I need to close it.